Well, Giancarlo, I think we're all keen to know how your Pro Evo worked out over the international break.
That was good. Got the update the other day. I just play when I have a bit of time to myself and enjoy it a lot actually.
What club are you?
I've got my own special clubs, so it's like pro clubs. So it's a Sampdoria team. So struggling at the moment. So best not talk about it.
We're not struggling here.
Nice segue. 5
games to go, top of the table. How determined are you to push on and win the Premier's plate?
The fact that we're in this position, is a testament to the players and the attitude and the culture we have within the team, and backs to the wall beginning of the year. And but again, I say it every week, and I know it becomes cliche. It is a game by game proposition. We have 5 finals now. It means nothing in the end if we can't get over Brisbane on Sunday, and then if we can get the result that we want, and we just move on to the next one, focus on that one.
I know a lot of focus here is on the championship, winning the playoffs, winning the grand final, but what would a premiership mean to the club?
So where does that come from?
I guess just for a lot of people who follow the A-League would see whoever wins the grand final, the champion. But so where does winning a premiership, what significance would that have?
I'm a traditionalist, so I think that the team that wins the league at the end of the year is the best team in the league, and then you move into a championship format, almost like a Champions League format, where it becomes about every game being about those one-off pressure games, which is a different dynamic. If you can do the double, you're doing unbelievably well. For me, winning anything will be creating legacy at this club, and will be an unbelievable achievement for this playing group and the club.
Hear what you're saying about 5 finals, you've got to stay focused on the next one. When do you are you at the point now where you can use silverware as a motivating force for the team, or is it not too far?
No, again, once you start focusing on the outcome as opposed to the process, then I think that just it builds anxiety, it builds these emotions where you can't actually control. I think if you just focus on what you can control, then it's easier to navigate. That's my experience, just with all things, football and in life as well. So I try to give that sense of, that sense of reasoning with the group, and I think they've embraced that, and I think that works well for us. So we'll just keep moving that way.
Tell us about the awful transits that some of your players are going to have. Is it 30 hours to get home, or have you heard much about that?
Yeah, I don't have in detail the exact itinerary. I know it'll be extensive travel. Once they move from, I think it was Abu Dhabi to Egypt, it became a little bit more complex. But again, I think they're all on business class, which is an advantage for us, because usually they're in cattle class when they come back, which is not really, it's not really the best conditions for players recovering, especially when they played 90 minutes of international football. So again, look, I'm not complaining about it. I'm actually really happy that, especially Rufus and Costa are getting 90 minutes. I think that's really important for them because they deserve it. And Oldie as well, getting some time. I think he merits it as well. And it's a really good experience for those others that didn't get on as well.
When do they land, and what will they do in the leading up to the game?
They will land here tomorrow. And they'll train with us the -1 on the Saturday, and then those that I feel are ready to play will play on Sunday.
Have you heard anything about their conditioning or condition?
I think Rufus and Costa came unscathed from the game, which is good. And I don't think there's any injuries at the moment.
So Finn came home early. There was a cut on his head, I think.
Yeah, so I think they had some conditioning sessions, and he copped a boot to the head, just it was just a nothing challenge. He got a cut right above his forehead, got 5 stitches, so he had to come back. He wasn't eligible for the friendly against Tunisia, so we thought it better to come back, get treated, and get ready for the game on Sunday.
All right, so he's good to play Sunday.
We'll make a call on the -1. It'll really come down. I think he has a bit of an infection in the cut. But it's precautionary at the moment. We'll see how he pulls up. The other issue we have is whether he can head the ball or not. So with the risk of it reopening again, because if it does reopen, then they have to restitch him. So we need to, be on the cautious side. But I think if you ask him, he'll want to play. So as long as we don't risk his safety, I'm happy for that to happen.
Will that leave you quite light if he can't play with?
Look, unfortunately, we've been light all year. It's been more about covering depth with the younger players, and they've done really well. But at the moment, with Payne not being there, who's done amazingly well. I think, we still have like a couple of scenarios where we can get through, but it does disjoint us a little bit.
And Oscar Zavada, can you give us an update there?
Yeah, so unfortunately, they've done another scan and they found that the original contusion against Newcastle in round 7, there was a bit of a growth in that contusion. So it's just at the moment we're trying to manage it. It's a little bit more serious than what we anticipated, but his recovery, we're kind of hoping that we'll see in the next week or two whether or not he can actually continue on this year. But at the moment, I probably haven't ruled out for the rest of the season.
Right, so he may not feature again?
Well, he might not. It really depends on the next 2 weeks. If he can basically get functionality again in where he copped the knock, then he might be able to get back on feet for the semi-finals, but we're really unsure at the moment. But at the moment, I'm planning without him at this stage.
So that's the best case scenario, semi-finals?
No, best case scenario is we could find that in a week or two that he has no pain in that contusion. So if that's the case, then he should be all right to have some minutes at some stage. But then the question is more whether he can play 90 minutes. So just coming off the bench and so on, that's a different. It's great that if he can come off the bench, but to get 90 minutes from him, it's going to be a bit of a stretch now because we're running out of games to get him conditioned.
What body part are we talking about? Sorry.
His leg, where he had the contusion. So he copped a knock against Newcastle, and then that formed a bit of bleeding, and then there was like a bit of, I think it's almost like calcification, and so there's been a bit of a. It's stayed there quite a. It's been there and he really hasn't shaken it off. So I think he had an MRI last week, and it just showed the growth. So these things do get fixed. It's just more about time. Sometimes it can take a couple of weeks. Sometimes it can take a couple of months. So.
Could it be a David Ball play through the pain situation if something's on the line, or is that not the right?
No, I don't think that's. You can't jab it. You can't do anything to it to numb the pain, and obviously his welfare is the most important. Oz is the ultimate professional. He looks after his body quite well. He does a lot of prehab, injury prevention, but unfortunately, it would be at a risk for him to play with that pain.
If there's no Finn Sermon, just speaking hypothetically here, would Lucas Kelly-Hill be an option as a left-sided centre-back?
Yeah, well, I have Suts back as well, so that would means I can balance off the left-back role and him coming to centre-back. But we have explored that. There are other options as well that we've looked at, but that's definitely one.
And Houston Salas is a likely replacement for Payne at right back?
At this stage, yeah. There's a couple of things we're toying with at the moment. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a couple of hybrid sort of formation changes that we're looking at. But he definitely would be looked at in that right back role.
And a 1 o'clock kickoff, which is rare. Does that change anything in terms of the way, apart from waking up earlier? Does it change anything?
No, I think it's actually good time to come and watch a football game. If you look at EPL, Serie A, most European leagues, kickoffs are at 1, 3 o'clock. Best time. So
the fans can't get on the
Yeah, well, they can start really early. Look, I think it's really, really. It's important that we get a crowd, and I think that time's more appealing for families to come out nice and early. They can get home, still enjoy a bit of Easter, and hopefully we can put a show on so that they have something to watch.
Hey, Graham Arnold's poked a bit of fun at the fans.
I knew this was coming, by the way.
I just have to ask for your response.
Sure.
Or what your thoughts on it are.
Well, to be fair, I saw the soundbite. I didn't really see the whole thing. But, Arnie's always full of banter, so, he would have done it in tongue-in-cheek. It wouldn't have been serious. But I think it's a good thing when everyone's talking about us, whether it's, serious or, they're having a bit of a laugh. It means that there's a recognition of what we're doing.
You're going to tell them you've got a couple of Aussies that could still make a squad? Pennington?
I think so, yeah. Pennington, Alte. Or I think Alte is in contention for... Iraq at the moment, so
if Graham intervened.
No, it's all fun and games.
I mean, is there a danger that, a couple of unavailabilities and Oscar, the big man up top, and, people coming back, is there danger you're going to run out of gas this season? I mean, nobody wants to see that, but how concerned are you?
I'll be concerned when we don't have 11 players that we can put on the park. As long as we have players as long as we have 11 players and boys that come off the bench that want to do a job for us, I'm not concerned. We've gone through this all year. At the beginning of the year, everyone was talking about a lack of depth, and I think the boys have answered that quite well. It's taken us a long time to get those boys up to scratch as well. We've had injuries all year. We've had to makeshift, a lot of players into different positions that, we've had to be very flexible in the way we think about also our formations and the way we play. So this is no different to any other challenge that we've had. But then you look at Mariners, for example. They've got a young team and they're playing, X amount of games. Sydney's in the same boat. It's not like I think maybe there's one or two teams that have an extensive squad, off the bench as well, but everyone's pretty much in the same boat.
Victory this weekend, I don't think mathematically confirms playoffs, but is that just that first box to tick, getting top 6? I know you're top 10, but...
Look... Yeah, it's always a priority. I don't want to be thinking like that, because if the boys start thinking, we need to get at least this 1 point becomes a lot bigger than what it really is. Whereas if we just focus again on the performance, then I'm hoping everything will look after itself. Our goal is to play well against Brisbane, and we know if we can play well against Brisbane and at home, that puts us in a strong position to get 3 points.
And then just emotionally with Oscar, how is he? Like, is he quite upset about?
Yeah, I haven't spoken to him for about a week now. I've just let it settle on the news, and obviously, we're doing everything we can to get an extended opinion on the injury and see if it can be treated quicker, or if there's something that we're missing. He would be a bit of a head loss at the moment, because you saw what he did last year, and you saw glimpses of it this year. But again, I think once he gets over this injury and he can focus on getting minutes, he'll get back to where he was at before.
News this week that BK is expecting, his partner's expecting rather.
Yep.
Is that good news for hopefully keeping him beyond the season?
Again, I've said this before, I want to keep all our players. It'd be more a question of whether we can make it happen from a budgetary stance. Fortunately, all clubs are going through this transition phase at the moment. There's a bit of uncertainty on the amount of money available for next year's salary cap and so on. So we have to adjust to that. But if you're asking me personally, I want to keep all our players. All our players are an integral part of our success, and for me, I'd love to build on that. But sometimes the reality of business is that you can't keep everyone. And again, the side effect, if you want to call it a side effect, of doing well is that the stocks rise of all the players. So even their value goes up, and then that becomes more of an expensive exercise. And if those guys cash in on an opportunity elsewhere and make more money, I'm really happy for them as well. But I'd love to keep BK.